Man, real estate relationships, transactions are taking so much longer in this market. Today, I want to teach you how to negotiate like a winner. This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate, and more than ever in my career, I feel like the time from when you meet a client or customer to the closing of a certain property and beyond is longer than ever before, and there's more going on. There's more doubt, there's more confusion, there's more changes, there's more competition, everything there's more of, and there's just the time is stretched out. I can remember a market where time, it was a speed-based market where time was an issue, but it was on the other side where everything was happening so fast. We had multiple offers. We had to make decisions quickly, buyers and sellers. We had to negotiate in a savvy way to get the most we could in the situations. But now it is drawn out more. Now you're more than just a salesperson and a paper worker. You are a negotiator. You are a client customer care expert. You are a consultant. You are a guide. And I want to tell you 3 things that you can do in your business today to make you negotiate like a winner. So when you meet people and you know it's going to be a long time, and you know there's going to be a lot of conversations, a lot of things, there's 3 things that you need to do. I learned these things when I did improv comedy. You guys have seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? When those guys and gals run up on stage and they're given a topic and they just have to interact back and forth. Well, there's 3 concepts that I learned when I was on the improv comedy troupe in my town that I learned that I took back to all my relationships, to my marriage, I took back to my relationship with my children, and I definitely took it in my relationships in the office. And I want to share these 3 things with you today and encourage you to ask yourself, how do you do in these areas and what can you do to improve in these areas to help you negotiate like a winner? The first thing is called yes and. The yes and concept of improv is something that is foundational. And if you go back and watch any episodes of that Drew Carey show, Whose Line Is It Anyway, where any of the Ryan and Colin and all these guys, Wayne, would run up on stage, they never said the word no in a scene. And here's why. When they were interacting with each other, when someone would come up and say, okay, here's your topic, and somebody run up on the stage and say, the sky is green, and just start the scene, the act, with that comment, the other actor was trained to say yes, and the grass is blue, for example. Now, we all know that the sky is not green, and we know that that co-actor knew that the sky was not green, but his or her mission was to continue the scene, to continue the build, continue the funny, the laugh, and continue the process. And the word no stops a process on a dime. So ask yourself in negotiations, when you're interacting with your spouse or your kid or your client, customer, teammates, how often do you say no, but? No, but. Even when you disagree, I want to encourage you to say yes, and we could do this, and we could add this. So you're in agreement more. This is critical when you're with someone for a long time. They begin to look at you as an agreeable person rather than a negative person. So yes and is number 1. The second thing that you need to focus on, and this is a hard one for people like me that love to talk, you need to learn to, number 2, take a beat. Take a beat. Now in comedy, what this means is you wait for the laugh. When you've done a scene and you think it's fantastic, and if you watch great comics, you'll see this in spades. They know when to wait and when to move on to the next joke. If you move on to the next joke too soon, you miss the laugh, you miss the build up in the room, you miss the crowd kind of coming on the journey with you. If you just do joke after joke after joke after joke, or scene after scene after scene, and don't give the crowd a chance to take it all in or take a beat, that's what I mean, like take a heartbeat, like boom, boom. Instead of just talking, take a second. Don't talk right away. Now, in negotiations, this is gold, because what this does is it allows whatever was just said to settle in. It allows everybody to catch up to the scene, just like it does in comedy, and it allows everybody to move forward together. Now, I'm terrible at this. I have already started thinking about my response when the words are coming out of my wife's mouth or my customer or client's mouth. I've already got a plan, and that's okay to have the plan, but the discipline in it is to keep your mouth shut for a minute, marinate on what was just said, and then create unity in the scene or the conversation moving forward. So number 2, take a beat. The third thing that you need to get really good at if you want to negotiate like a winner, and this is a hard one because especially in our egocentric world and profession that we've chosen, number 3, you have to be willing to make your cohort look like a rock star. So make your counterpart, the person that you're interacting with, look like a rock star. Now in improv comedy, this was the secret to being liked on stage by the other actors. So what I mean by this is I always knew, after a period of time, I always knew what the hot buttons were for the people that I was on stage with. For example, if I ran up on stage with my co-actor Meredith for a scene, I knew exactly what she was best at. I knew that she was really good at accents and she was really good at Southern accents. So no matter what the scene might have been, the content of the scene, I would always try to set Meredith up so that she could use her Southern accent in some way, because then I knew she would shine, she would appreciate it, she would enjoy it, the crowd then would enjoy it, and the scene would progress in a fun way. Now, what does this mean? And it was different for every actor that I was on stage with, but I learned over time what they were best at. And I could go down the list even now, a few years after being on the troupe, and tell you those things. So what's the lesson in it for us? How well do you know who you're co-acting with or communicating with? Do you know what their hot buttons are? Do you know what they enjoy, what they appreciate, what they like to talk about, what really lights their fire? Because what you need to do, instead of worrying so much about making yourself look fantastic, you need to customize the situation so that the person that you're communicating with feels and looks like a rock star. This works like gold with your children, works really well with your partner, and it can work with your business as well. So these are 3 things that you can take. And I tell you that you can't just say these things out loud one time. They're things that you have to practice. They're things that you have to get committed to. But if you Google improv comedy, you'll find these things very quickly. You'll find that you need to do more of these things in your negotiation. You need to do a yes and more. You need to take a beat more, and you need to make your cohort look like a rock star. And you will start to negotiate more like a winner. And in this marketplace, let's face it, we're negotiating all the time. So wouldn't you want to do it like a winner? This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate, and I hope this video today helps you rise up.